The engine of her rusty 1994 Toyota Camry made a sickening clunking noise as Isaac Collins rolled into Floyd's auto shop with his 10-year-old daughter, Lily, in the passenger seat. Even over the blaring radio playing Lily's favorite pop song, the sound was unmistakable, another car problem he couldn't afford to fix. "Sounds bad, Daddy," Lily said, pushing her glasses up on her nose, her dark pigtails bouncing as she turned to look at him. "It'll be okay, sweetheart," Isaac replied, though the worry lines across his forehead betrayed his confident tone. At 32, he'd become an expert at hiding financial stress from his daughter. 3 years as a single dad had taught him that much. Isaac turned down the radio as he parked in front of the garage. "Remember, we've got to be quick. I can't be late for work again." Lily nodded solemnly, unbuckling her seatbelt. "Mr. Walters said one more tardy and you'd be in trouble." "That's right, so let's hustle," Isaac said, opening his door and stepping out into the crisp autumn air. His work uniform, a blue button-up with Isaac embroidered on the pocket, was already stained with motor oil from his morning repair attempts. The auto shop was busy as usual. Floyd, a heavyset man with grease-stained coveralls, greeted them with a wave. "Isaac, what brings you in today? Engine's making that noise again," Isaac replied, patting the hood of his car. "I tried fixing it myself, but I can't figure it out." Floyd nodded sympathetically. "I'd help you out, but we're backed up for days. Johnson called in sick again." Isaac ran a hand through his dark hair, calculating the days until his next paycheck. "Any chance you could just take a quick look? I can't afford to miss work, and Lily has school." "Daddy fixes everything at home," Lily chimed in proudly. "He even fixed Mrs. Peterson's sink last week," Floyd chuckled. "I bet he did. Your dad's good with his hands." He checked his watch. "Tell you what, leave it here and I'll squeeze it in when I can. Might be a few days, though." Isaac's shoulders slumped. "We need the car, Floyd. I've got to get Lily to school and make it to the warehouse by 8. Just as Isaac was contemplating calling his supervisor to explain he'd be late again, a sleek black Range Rover pulled into the lot, its engine purring smoothly as it came to a stop beside his battered Camry. The contrast between the vehicles couldn't have been more stark. His rusted sedan, with the missing hubcap, and duct-taped side mirror next to the gleaming SUV that probably cost more than he made in 2 years. The driver's door opened, and a woman stepped out. She was in her late 20s, dressed in dark jeans and a simple white blouse that somehow looked expensive. Her chestnut hair was pulled back in a practical ponytail, and large sunglasses covered her eyes. "Excuse me," she called out, approaching them. "I'm so sorry to interrupt, but I think I have an oil leak. There's a warning light on my dashboard." Floyd looked between Isaac and the newcomer, clearly torn. "Madam, we're pretty backed up today." "I understand," she said, removing her sunglasses to reveal warm brown eyes. "I wouldn't ask if it wasn't important. I have a meeting in Boston this afternoon." Isaac found himself studying her face. Without makeup or pretense, she was naturally beautiful, but there was something else, a genuine concern in her expression that seemed out of place with her obvious wealth. "What's your name?" Lily asked suddenly, stepping forward with the directness only a 10-year-old could muster. The woman smiled, crouching down to Lily's level. "I'm Natalie Carmichael. What's yours?" "I'm Lily Collins, and this is my dad, Isaac. He can fix cars really good. He taught me how to check the air in the tires." Natalie glanced up at Isaac, her smile widening. "Is that so?" Isaac felt his face warm slightly. "I do all right. I'm no mechanic, though." "Better than most who come through here," Floyd interjected. "Look, I've got to take care of the Reynolds truck. Isaac, why don't you take a look at Miss Carmichael's vehicle? I'll circle back to your Camry as soon as I can." Before Isaac could respond, Floyd was already walking away, leaving him standing awkwardly between Natalie and his daughter. "You really don't have to," Natalie said quickly. "I can wait." Isaac checked his watch again. He was already going to be late, and his boss had made it clear that another tardy would mean a write-up. But something in Natalie's expression and the way Lily was looking up at him expectantly made him nod. "It's probably just low oil. I can take a quick look," he said, then turned to his daughter. "Lily, grab your backpack. You can do some reading while I check Miss Carmichael's car." "It's Natalie, please," she insisted, following them to her Range Rover. Isaac popped the hood, immediately impressed by the immaculate engine compartment. He checked the dipstick, finding the oil level slightly low but not dangerously so. "When's the last time you had an oil change?" he asked, wiping his hands on a rag from his back pocket. Natalie looked embarrassed. "I'm not sure. I've been traveling a lot for work, and it's been..." She trailed off. "Too long, obviously." Isaac nodded, not judging. "The oil's a bit low, but that's not your main problem. Your filter needs replacing, and there's a small leak from one of the gaskets." He pointed to a barely visible drop of oil. "Not major, but it'll get worse if you ignore it." "Can you fix it?" she asked. Isaac glanced at his watch again. It would take about 30 minutes to change the oil and filter. The gasket might be another hour, depending. "Dad's going to be late for work," Lily said matter-of-factly from where she sat on a nearby bench, book open in her lap. "Mr. Walters gets really mad when Dad's late." Natalie looked between them, realization dawning on her face. "I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to put you in a difficult position." Isaac waved off her concern. "It's fine, I can know it's not," Natalie interrupted. She seemed to make a decision. "How about this, you show me how to change the oil and filter myself, and I'll give you a ride to work afterward. That way you won't be late, and I'll learn something useful." Isaac blinked, surprised. "You want to learn how to change your oil?" she nodded, already rolling up her sleeves. "Why not? I should probably know how to do basic maintenance on my own car, right?" There was something refreshing about her eagerness. Most people with cars like hers just paid others to handle such tasks. "All right," Isaac agreed, "but fair warning, it's going to get messy." Natalie smiled, a genuine, bright expression that transformed her face. "I'm not afraid of a little dirt." For the next 20 minutes, Isaac guided Natalie through the process of changing oil. He showed her how to drain the old oil, replace the filter, and refill with new oil. To his surprise, she was a quick learner, asking intelligent questions and not hesitating to get her hands dirty. Lily abandoned her book to watch, clearly delighted to see another person taking an interest in her father's mechanical knowledge. "Dad showed me too," she informed Natalie proudly. "But I'm not allowed to do it by myself yet." "Your dad is a good teacher," Natalie replied, carefully tightening the oil filter as Isaac had demonstrated. When they finished, Natalie's once pristine white blouse was smudged with oil, but she seemed unbothered as she wiped her hands on the rag Isaac offered. "The gasket will need to be replaced soon," Isaac advised, "but this should get you to Boston safely." "Thank you," Natalie said sincerely. "Now let me keep my end of the bargain. Where do you work? I'll drop you off." Isaac hesitated. "It's Midwest Distribution, about 15 minutes from here. But you don't have to, I insist," Natalie cut in. "It's the least I can do after you helped me. Besides, we had a deal." After a brief discussion with Floyd about leaving his Camry at the shop, Isaac found himself in the passenger seat of Natalie's Range Rover, with Lily buckled safely in the back, clearly thrilled by the luxurious vehicle. "This car smells nice," Lily announced, running her small hands over the leather seats. "And it has TV screens. They're for long trips," Natalie explained, glancing at Isaac. "Is it okay if we drop Lily at school first?" "If you don't mind," Isaac replied, still feeling slightly uncomfortable accepting help from a stranger, especially one who clearly came from money. As Natalie drove, following Isaac's directions to Lily's elementary school, she asked casual questions about their lives. Isaac found himself sharing more than he'd intended how he'd been raising Lily alone since his wife died of cancer 3 years ago, his job at the warehouse, and his side gigs fixing things for neighbors to make extra money. "You do all that, and still find time to teach Lily about cars?" Natalie asked, impressed. Isaac shrugged. "She's interested in how things work, and honestly, it's cheaper if I can fix stuff myself." When they reached the school, Isaac got out to walk Lily to the entrance. "Be good today, sweetheart, Miss Peterson will pick you up and take you to her house after school. I'll come get you as soon as I'm done with work." Lily nodded, hugging him tightly. "Is Natalie your new friend?" she whispered, not so quietly. Isaac felt his cheeks warm. "We just met, Lily." "I like her," Lily declared before skipping off toward the building, turning back once to wave at Natalie, who waved back from the car. When Isaac returned to the Range Rover, Natalie was smiling. She's wonderful, she said simply. She's the best thing in my life, Isaac replied honestly, directing Natalie toward the warehouse district. They drove in comfortable silence for a few minutes before Natalie spoke again. So, Isaac Collins, what would you be doing if you weren't working at a warehouse? The question caught him off guard. What do you mean, if money wasn't an issue, she clarified. What would you want to do? Isaac hadn't thought about that in years. Dreams had taken a backseat to survival and raising Lily. I used to want to open my own garage, he admitted. Not just repairs, but custom work. I rebuilt a '67 Mustang in high school, and it was the most satisfying thing I'd ever done. What happened to the Mustang? Sold it to pay for Emily's, my wife's medical bills, he said quietly. Natalie's expression softened. I'm sorry. It was just a car, Isaac replied, though they both knew it had been more than that. When they arrived at the warehouse, Isaac was 10 minutes early for his shift, a rarity that would surely please his supervisor. Thank you for the ride, he said, reaching for the door handle. Wait, Natalie said suddenly. I just realized I don't have your number for if I have any more car questions. Isaac hesitated. A woman like Natalie Carmichael surely had mechanics on speed dial. But something in her expression seemed genuine, and he found himself reciting his number as she entered it into her phone. It was nice meeting you, Isaac Collins, she said, her smile warm, and thank you for the lesson. Anytime, he replied, meaning it more than he expected to. As he watched her drive away, Isaac couldn't help but wonder if he'd ever hear from her again. Women who drove Range Rovers didn't typically stay in contact with warehouse workers who moonlighted as handymen. Still, there had been something different about Natalie, something real beneath the obvious wealth. Shaking off thoughts that led nowhere productive, Isaac headed into work, unaware that his impromptu oil change lesson would change the course of his life. 3 days later, Isaac's phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number while he was fixing his landlord's leaky faucet in exchange for a discount on rent. Oil light came on again. Gasket problem. This is Natalie, by the way, from the auto shop. Isaac stared at his phone, surprised she'd actually contacted him. He quickly saved her number and replied, probably, you should get it checked out at a proper shop. 3 dots appeared immediately. Would you look at it? I trust your opinion. Plus, I owe you coffee for helping me the other day. Isaac hesitated. He'd thought about Natalie more than he cared to admit over the past few days, but he'd convinced himself their paths wouldn't cross again. I'm not a certified mechanic, he texted back. But you know cars, came her quick response. Please. I'll pick you up tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Lily can come too if it's her weekend with you. Isaac smiled despite himself. Lily would be thrilled. She'd mentioned Natalie several times since their encounter. She's with me. We'll be ready at 9. The next morning, Natalie arrived precisely at 9, this time in a more modest Audi sedan. The Range Rover's at the dealership, she explained as Isaac and Lily got in. I told them not to touch it until I got a second opinion. She drove them to a small coffee shop on the outskirts of town. While Lily happily sipped hot chocolate and drew pictures with the crayons Natalie had thoughtfully brought along, the adults discussed car troubles. The dealership quoted me nearly $800 for the repair, Natalie said, shaking her head. That seemed excessive. Isaac nearly choked on his coffee. It is. The parts would cost maybe $100, and it's about 2 hours of labor. Natalie studied him over her cup. Would you be willing to show me how to fix it? I could pay you for your time, of course. Why are you so interested in learning car maintenance? Isaac asked, genuinely curious. Most people with her resources would simply pay for the service. Natalie was quiet for a moment. My father always said we should understand how things work, even if we can pay others to fix them. She traced the rim of her cup with a finger. He grew up poor but built a successful business. He never wanted me to take things for granted. There was something in her voice, a touch of grief that Isaac recognized all too well. You lost him, she nodded. 2 years ago. Heart attack. He would have liked you, she added with a small smile. He respected people who worked with their hands. Their conversation flowed easily after that, moving from cars to childhood stories to favorite movies. Lily joined in occasionally, clearly charmed by Natalie, who listened to the girls' elaborate tales about school with genuine interest. By the time they finished their drinks, Isaac had agreed to help Natalie with her car the following weekend. But, he stipulated, you have to do the work, I'll just guide you. Deal, Natalie agreed with a grin. Over the next few weeks, a pattern developed. Natalie would find reasons to need Isaac's mechanical expertise: a squeaky belt, a loose mirror, a troublesome window, and each repair session would end with meals or outings that included Lily. They visited the zoo, a children's museum, and a local fair, with Natalie insisting on treating them despite Isaac's initial protests. Isaac couldn't help noticing the contrast between their lives. Natalie never specified what she did for work, simply saying she managed investments, but her flexible schedule and casual references to business trips suggested success. Meanwhile, he juggled his warehouse job with picking up extra work wherever he could find it. Despite their different circumstances, Isaac found himself drawn to Natalie's unpretentious nature. She wore designer clothes but didn't hesitate to get them dirty. She drove luxury cars but wanted to understand their inner workings. Most importantly, she treated Lily with genuine affection and respect. One evening, after Lily had fallen asleep watching a movie at Natalie's surprisingly modest downtown apartment, Natalie and Isaac sat on her balcony, talking quietly under the stars. "Can I ask you something personal?" Natalie said, tucking her legs underneath her on the outdoor sofa. Isaac nodded, taking a sip of the beer she'd offered him. "Why haven't you dated since your wife passed? It's been 3 years and you're—" She paused, seeming to search for the right words. "You're a catch, Isaac Collins." The question caught him off guard. "I've been busy," he said automatically, then sighed. "That sounds like an excuse, doesn't it?" Natalie waited patiently for him to continue. "The truth is, dating as a single parent is complicated. Most women I've met aren't interested in an instant family, and the ones who might be." He shrugged. "Well, my life isn't exactly stable. I work odd hours. I'm always one car repair away from financial disaster, and Lily has to come first." "That's admirable," Natalie said softly. "Putting her needs above your own." "It's not admirable. It's just being a parent," Isaac replied, looking through the glass doors to where his daughter slept peacefully on Natalie's couch. "What about you?" "No boyfriend hiding somewhere," Natalie laughed. "No, men tend to be interested in my circumstances more than in me." "What does that mean?" Isaac asked, confused. Natalie seemed to debate with herself before answering. "Isaac, there's something I should probably tell you." The serious tone in her voice made him sit up straighter. "What is it?" "I'm not just comfortable financially. She took a deep breath. "My father was Joseph Carmichael." The name sounded vaguely familiar, but Isaac couldn't place it. "He founded Carmichael Technologies," Natalie continued. "When he died, I inherited the company and his estate." Isaac's beer froze halfway to his lips as understanding dawned. Carmichael Technologies was a Fortune 500 company. He'd seen the name on buildings downtown, in news headlines, even on the sides of delivery trucks. "You're rich," he said finally, the word feeling inadequate. "Wealthy, yes," Natalie confirmed, watching him carefully. "Does that change things between us, did it?" Isaac considered the question honestly. The woman sitting across from him was still Natalie, the same person who'd gotten oil on her expensive blouse without complaint, who'd spent hours helping Lily build a science project, who laughed at his terrible jokes. "No," he said finally, "but it does explain the Range Rover." Natalie's laugh broke the tension, relief evident on her face. "I was worried you'd see me differently." "I'm more concerned that you might see me differently," Isaac admitted. "I can't offer you much, Natalie. My life is paycheck to paycheck." "Is that what you think I want from you?" "Financial stability." She moved closer, her knee brushing against his. "Isaac, I have more money than I know what to do with. What I don't have are people who see me for who I am, not what I'm worth." The honesty in her eyes made Isaac's heart race. Without overthinking it, he leaned forward and kissed her softly. Natalie responded immediately, her hand coming up to rest against his cheek. When they pulled apart, Isaac felt simultaneously terrified and exhilarated. "I should probably take Lily home," he whispered, though he made no move to leave. "Probably," Natalie agreed, her eyes still on his lips. "Or you could both stay in the guest room. It's late and I make excellent pancakes." The offer was tempting, but Isaac shook his head. Lily has a routine. She gets confused in new places sometimes. Understanding crossed Natalie's features. Another time then, as Isaac carried his sleeping daughter to Natalie's car for the drive home, he wondered if he was making a terrible mistake. Natalie lived in a world he couldn't comprehend: board meetings and investment portfolios, while he struggled to keep his ancient Camry running. But the way she smiled at him as she opened the car door, the gentle care with which she helped settle Lily in the backseat. It felt real in a way few things had since Emily died. Over the following months, their relationship deepened. Isaac initially worried about Natalie's wealth creating an imbalance, but she never made him feel inadequate. Instead, she valued his skills and perspective, often seeking his advice on practical matters. When his Camry finally died beyond repair, Isaac reluctantly accepted Natalie's offer to help him find a reliable used car. To his relief, she didn't suggest anything flashy or beyond his means, instead helping him locate a practical sedan with low mileage that he could afford with a manageable loan. "I could just buy you a car," she'd said once during their search. "I know," he'd replied, kissing her forehead. "And I love that you respect me enough not to insist." For her part, Lily had fully embraced Natalie's presence in their lives. The two had formed a bond over shared interests in science and art, with Natalie never trying to replace Emily's memory but creating her own relationship with the child. 6 months after their first meeting at the auto shop, Isaac sat on the worn couch in his small apartment, watching Natalie help Lily with homework at the kitchen table. The domesticity of the scene made his chest tight with emotion. "What are you staring at?" Natalie asked, catching his gaze. "Just thinking about how lucky I am," he replied honestly. Later that night, after Lily had gone to bed, Natalie curled against Isaac on the couch, her head on his shoulder. "I've been thinking," she said softly, fingers intertwined with his. "My lease is up next month." "Are you looking at new places?" Isaac asked, absently stroking her hair. "Actually, I was thinking about buying a house, something with a yard for Lily, maybe a garage for you." She tilted her head to look up at him. "What would you think about that?" Isaac tensed slightly. "Natalie, I can't afford, I know," she interrupted gently. "I'm not asking you to. I'm asking if you and Lily would consider living there with me." The offer hung in the air between them, weighty with implications. "You want us to move in together?" Natalie sat up to face him properly. "I love you, Isaac. I love Lily. I want to build a life with both of you." "What about your work, your travel?" he asked, though his heart was already racing at her declaration of love. "I've been transitioning more responsibilities to my management team," she explained. "I'll still need to travel occasionally, but I can do most of my work remotely. Besides," she added with a smile, "I'm the boss. I can set my own schedule." Isaac took her hands in his. "I love you too," he said, the words feeling both foreign and perfectly natural. "But I need to be clear about something. I won't be kept. I need to contribute." Natalie squeezed his fingers. "I would never want to take your independence away. We can figure out finances in a way that works for both of us." She paused. "What does your lease situation look like?" "Month to month now," Isaac replied, still processing the enormity of what they were discussing. "Then let's take some time, look at houses together, see if we can find a place that feels right for all of us." Her eyes were earnest, hopeful. No rush, no pressure. In the end, they found a craftsman-style house in a good school district, with 4 bedrooms and a detached garage that made Isaac's heart race with possibilities. Though Natalie bought the property, Isaac insisted on contributing by handling renovations himself, turning the garage into a fully equipped workshop where he could pursue his passion for car restoration. When they told Lily about their plans to move, her only concern was whether she'd still have her own room. Upon learning she would, and that she could choose the paint color, she'd thrown her arms around both of them, declaring it the best day ever. The transition wasn't without challenges. Isaac struggled with the financial disparity, insisting on paying for utilities and groceries to maintain his sense of contribution. Natalie, for her part, had to adjust to sharing decision-making after years of independence. But as weeks turned into months, they found their rhythm. Isaac took a part-time position at a custom car shop, allowing him more flexible hours while still earning his own income. With Natalie's encouragement, he began taking on restoration projects in his home garage, building a reputation for quality work. One evening, almost a year after they'd moved in together, Isaac found Natalie in his workshop, studying the 1965 Mustang he'd been restoring for a client. "It's beautiful," she said as he wrapped his arms around her from behind. "You have real talent." "It's satisfying work," he agreed, resting his chin on her shoulder. "Speaking of work, how was your meeting?" "Productive," Natalie replied, turning in his embrace. "The board approved my proposal for the new scholarship foundation." Isaac smiled proudly. Natalie had been working for months on establishing a foundation to provide educational opportunities for underprivileged youth interested in technology and trades. "That's fantastic," he said, kissing her softly. "You're going to change lives with that program." "Actually," Natalie said, a hint of nervousness in her voice, "I was hoping you might consider being involved. We need people who understand practical skills to help develop the training programs." Isaac raised an eyebrow. "Me, who better?" she replied. "You've got the knowledge and the teaching ability. I've seen how patient you are explaining things to Lily." The idea was intriguing. "I'd have to think about it," he said cautiously. "I wouldn't want people thinking I got the position because of our relationship." "Fair enough," Natalie agreed. "Though your qualifications speak for themselves," she hesitated. "There's something else I wanted to talk to you about." There was something in her tone that made Isaac's heart skip a beat. "What is it?" Natalie took his hand and led him to the workbench where they sat side by side. "Lily asked me something interesting today when I picked her up from school." "Oh," Isaac tried to imagine what his now 11-year-old daughter might have said to make Natalie look so serious. "She asked if I was going to be her stepmom soon." Natalie's eyes met his, questioning. "I told her that was something you and I would need to discuss." Isaac's mouth went dry. They hadn't talked explicitly about marriage, though he'd thought about it more frequently in recent months. "What do you think about that?" he asked carefully. A slow smile spread across Natalie's face. "I think I'd like to be Lily's stepmom and your wife." She squeezed his hand. "If that's something you want to." Isaac's heart hammered in his chest. "Natalie Carmichael, are you proposing to me in my garage?" She laughed, the sound bright and joyful. "I suppose I am. Is that too unromantic?" "It's perfect," Isaac replied, pulling her close. "And yes, I want that too, more than anything." Their kiss was filled with promise, sealing an agreement that had been building since that first day at the auto shop. When they finally pulled apart, Natalie rested her forehead against his. "You know, most people think I'm the one who saved you with my resources and connections." "And what do you think?" Isaac asked, curious. "I think you saved me," she replied softly. "Before I met you, I had everything except what matters most." "You taught me about more than just changing oil," Isaac Collins. "You taught me about love, family, and finding joy in the simplest moments." Isaac cradled her face in his calloused hands. "We saved each other," he corrected gently. "And now we build something new together." That night, they shared their engagement with Lily over her favorite dinner. Her squeal of delight echoed through the house as she launched herself into a group hug, chattering excitedly about being a flower girl and whether they might get a puppy to complete their family. As Isaac looked around the table at the two most important people in his world, he marveled at how completely his life had changed in just over a year. From struggling single father to part of a loving family, from paycheck to paycheck existence to pursuing his passion, all because of an oil change, and a woman who wasn't afraid to get her hands dirty. Later, as they lay in bed together, Natalie curled against his side, Isaac realized something important. Their story wasn't about a poor man finding a rich woman or a millionaire falling for a mechanic. It was simpler and more profound than that. It was about two people recognizing in each other exactly what they needed and building a bridge across their differences to find something beautiful together. "What are you thinking about?" Natalie murmured sleepily. "About how sometimes the best things in life happen when you least expect them," Isaac replied, pressing a kiss to her forehead. "And how grateful I am that your oil light came on that day." Natalie smiled against his chest. "Best warning light ever." As they drifted toward sleep, wrapped in each other's arms, Isaac thought about the journey ahead: marriage, possibly more children, building their foundation together. watching Lily grow up surrounded by love. The path wouldn't always be smooth, but with Natalie beside him, he knew they could handle whatever challenges came their way. After all, they'd already mastered the most important lesson. Sometimes, the most valuable repairs weren't to engines or machinery, but to hearts that had forgotten how to hope.